By whose standard will we choose? Abram and Lot had been walking the same path together, but there came a moment when they could no longer remain together. The reason was not conflict, but prosperity. Their livestock had increased greatly, their households had grown, and the land could no longer support them both at the same time. At that moment, Abram made a remarkable choice. Though he was the elder and the one who had received God's promise, he gave the right of first choice to Lot. He told him to decide first where to go and what to choose. Lot already knew what the land of Canaan was like from experience. Without rain, survival was difficult. The land was harsh and unforgiving, and each day required complete dependence on God just to endure. Sodom and Gomorrah, however, were very different. There was plenty of water, the land looked good to the eye, and it was far easier to raise livestock and sustain life there. When we decide where to live, we usually look first at comfort, the environment, and economic advantage. Lot likely made his choice by those same standards. Yet Lot also knew something else. He knew that the land was not good in the eyes of God. Even so, the most important factor in his decision was comfort. As a result, Lot chose Sodom, and Abram returned to Canaan. Ironically, Canaan was the very land that had once been so difficult that Abram had gone down to Egypt to survive. And now he was being led back to that same hard place once again. It is at this moment that God speaks to Abram again. He tells him to lift up his eyes and look in every direction, promising that all the land he could see would be given to him and to his descendants. This scene is deeply significant. After Lot departed, God reaffirmed his promise to Abram. When Abram laid down human standards and held on to God's standards, God's voice became clearer. Canaan was still a hard land. Without rain, life was impossible, and the environment remained harsh. But it was the land where God's promise rested. Lot chose by human standards. Abram remained by God's promise. Over time, their choices produced completely different outcomes. A choice that looks comfortable is not always the right choice. A choice that looks difficult is not always the path to failure. Dear friends, we face similar moments of decision in our own lives today. Between the easy path and the promised path, between visible gain and the unseen promise of God, what standard are we using to choose? A life chosen by God's standard may seem slower and at times more difficult, but in that place there is God's word, there is God's promise, and ultimately there is God's guidance. May the faith of Abram, choosing by God's standard rather than human standards, continue to shape our lives today as well.
When I'm tempted to choose the land I can see, to take the easier road before me, you gently speak and call my heart to look again at your promise. Not the place where water overflows, but the place where your word remains. You invite me to live each day, depending fully on you. By your standard, teach me how to choose, not by human reason, but by the promise you have spoken. By your standard, teach me how to remain, even when I let go and release. Help me hold on to your word. When my heart begins to waver on a road that looks so easy, let the unseen promise become